All right, boys. I like to think of myself as one of the best players on Wi-Fi. Other than that season, of course. It's the anomaly, not the standard. We went to 2 back-to-back BBR finals, unfortunately, coming short in both of them. But this season, that's not going to be the case. This season, we've got easy pickings like Keigley and Obo, and we're going to make the most of this season and go all the way to finals. But to do that, you need a team. And I have assembled the Avengers of Pokemon here as we're going to jump into BBR Season 7. We had the 2nd overall pick, and boys, let me tell you how excited I was to get my hands on Gouging Fire. This Pokemon is fantastic, but it didn't fall to me, unfortunately. Thomas, who was in front of me, decided that he also thought it looked really cool and wanted to try a new toy and have some fun. So he went with Gouging Fire, and that's okay. It hurts only a little bit. So instead, I struggled with confidence a little bit last year, so I decided, hey, no more excuses. If I say I'm the best, then I'm gonna be the best. We're gonna draft the best Pokemon that we can on the board, and we're gonna try to do literally as good as we can this season. We're gonna go all out, and we're gonna try our best, and that all starts with a Pokemon that a lot of people think is the best in Draft League. That's going to be Dragapult. Now, is Dragapult a fraud? I don't know. A popular opinion right now is to hate on Dragapult. I'm not sure how I feel. I've used it a couple times and it's never like impressed me, but I've also never tried crazy hard in the leagues that I have Dragapult in. So I decided to give it a try. Dragapult is a fantastic Pokemon, one of the most versatile in Draft League. It does so many different things. In the hands of a creative builder, Dragapult can be one of the biggest problems, if not the biggest problem in Draft League. You have so many different options. You have something like dual screens with Light Clay to set up screens for the rest of your team. You're a U-turn bot. You have obviously very strong Dracos, but you're also a physical threat on top of that. You have things like Phantom Force with Dragon Dance. You have Dragon Darts. You have Flamethrower to hit the steals. There's Willow, Hex. You can be sub-disable. There are so many sets that Dragapult can be, and a creative builder can take advantage of all of it, and I'm excited to be that creative builder to take advantage of Dragapult this season. Now, when I say I think I'm one of the best in Pokemon Draft League and Wi-Fi, at the moment, I mean it, and I wanted to show that was true by drafting the craziest team that I could think of to help lead us through this season. So I wanted to draft Iron Hands next. Iron Hands is a fantastic Pokemon. I had dreams about drafting Dragapult plus Iron Hands, and unfortunately, Iron Hands went 2 picks before us. But it's okay. It's no big deal because Sneasler made it back to us, and boy, was I excited to wake up to see Sneasler drafted the pick before us. I'll be honest, there were not that many good Dragapult pairings on the board at this point in the draft. You want to pair a good Steel and a good Poison with Dragapult, but at this point in the draft, there weren't any Steels or Poisons that I was dying to use, and the good fightings were very plentiful, and Sneasler and Iron Hands being the 2 that I really wanted to try, and both going right before me, made me think that I could wait on a good fighting. So instead, I went with probably a B tier pairing for Dragapult, but it's a crazy glue piece. We went with Lando T. Is it underwhelming this generation? Sure, but he's still the king for a reason. Lando does a lot of different things. No knockoff, this generation does suck, but it does have access to Taunt now, which is fantastic. It also is one of the most reliable rockers that we could have on our team. It gives us a good ground resist moving to the future. We got to think about the team, how it meshes together all in all. It gives us that ground resist for our good Poison and good Steel that we're going to get later down the line. Lando gives us a U-turn bot, which is fantastic, paired next to Dragapult to U-turn on other things. Dragapult can U-turn into Lando, and with that base 145 attack, we can do some serious damage, or we can U-turn into the Dragapult to enable the Dragapult. I think these 2 Pokemon, while they don't work perfectly together, they do work well. Lando also has some new toys this generation. People don't remember. He got Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands is Scald, but ground and a little bit weaker, I believe. And while Lando's special attack, I think it's 105, it's not the craziest in the world. It is still pretty solid, and we can take advantage of that by getting burns on things that normally would want to switch into us that might not want to switch in when threatened with a burn. We also get Sludge Wave to hit fairy types and grass types, of course, and put some pressure on those. And we're also a setup threat. No Rock Polish this gen, which definitely sucks, but we do have Swords Dance. All in all, is Lando the best pairing in the world with Dragapult? Absolutely not, but it's the best I could do given the board. I didn't even mention it, but there were like 7 Pokemon that I was like, yes, good pairing with Dragapult, and every single one of them went before me, so it was slim picking. So we got Lando T. However, round 3, we got a Pokemon that I love, Chi-Yu. I drafted Chi-Yu again. I know I'm a little bit of a Chi-Yu hater, But as a second option on the team, it's fantastic. And I knew that Thomas wouldn't take it because he had Gouging Fire, so that's why we went ahead and took Lando before the Chi-Yu. Chi-Yu pairs very, very well with the Lando being able to break the grasses that Lando does not like. And it also pairs well with Dragapult because it's a dark type that can eat the ghost and dark hits and melt the steels that Dragapult doesn't want to deal with. So between Chi-Yu as well as Lando T, there are no steel types that are really going to want to come into our team. Chi-Yu does a lot of different things. You can have some cool stuff like Overheat paired with Eject Pack to get some momentum into Lando, into Dragapult, some of our other threats that we'll get down the line as well. And it's just a very strong Pokemon. Dragapult U-turning into a great physical threat in Lando and a great special threat in Chi-Yu is going to be something that will be very difficult for our opponents to prep for. Chi-Yu is more than just a Specs Scarf bot as well. It also has access to Taunt, Willow, as well as U-turn. It has a little bit of utility there, but mostly it's here to be a special breaker. Our next Pokemon, pretty much no matter what, was going to be some form of Steel type. The one that I wanted the most was going to be Metagross, but unfortunately, it did not make it back. We had other options though, and an option that was debatably better than the Metagross option actually made it back to us. We got Scizor. I'm not the biggest fan of Scizor this generation due to the lack of Roost, but it did maintain Defog, which is actually huge, especially next to something like Chi-Yu. So realistically, Scizor is probably a better pairing since we got Chi-Yu. It gives us strong priority with Bullet Punch. It gives us more momentum with U-turn. It's a strong steel type to break the fairies that Dragapult does not want. Really, these four Pokemon paired together is horrifying, and I would hate to be the opposing team. Scizor gives us another setup option, but primarily it's going to be here as a fairy breaker, and it's going to pressure with Defog, so hopefully we don't have to draft any more removal in this horrible decks. Let me be clear, I loved Scizor prior to this gen, but Scizor this gen, I don't know, he just doesn't do it for me, but we'll see if he does it this season. Our next pick, I decided to get a fighting type, and there are two on the board that really interested me. Urshifu Rapid was one of them, and I'm not a big Urshifu guy in general, let alone Urshifu Rapid. Urshifu Single I think is really good because of dual stab combinations. It's not my favorite to use, but I do understand the merit and how good it is. Urshifu Rapid, on the other hand, I would just rather have Quaquaval. But it was on the board, and I know how good this Pokemon can be, so I debated for a long time, but ultimately, I decided that I would rather get a Pokemon that I'm comfortable with. So we went double bug, baby. We got Slitherwing. Shoutouts to Keegan for not sniping me of this Pokemon, so this Slitherwing would land in my lap as we've got it in round 5. Slitherwing is a great Pokemon paired with what we have, really. It breaks the grasses for the Lando. It gives us another strong priority in first impression. It's a double bug, but they don't share weaknesses. The only weakness they share is fire. So realistically, it's not that bad once we get our bulky water. It gives us more momentum. It can be bulky. It has sets like bulk up to set up. It has Morning Sun, and it's got decent enough coverage, but mainly its dual stabs are going to be enough with things like first impression, U-turn, and close combat. And you even have things like Leech Life if you want some recovery. The main reason it's here, not only is it a momentum bot, but it also gives us access to something to break steals. There should never be a skill that comes against this team that we have. Something to break normals, which is what you want a fighting next to Dragapult for, and something to break darks. So this plus Scizor makes darks have a really tough time coming into our team. It also gives us another ground resist, which isn't like necessary, but it is nice next to Chi-Yu. Round 6, I wanted our Terra Captain. We're doing low tier Terra, by the way. I didn't say that. I thought one of the best on the board was Kilowattrel, and it made it to me round 6. I liked it with this team. It provided momentum, it broke waters, and we're Terra Flying and Terra Water. Terra Water to have a secondary water. We have another one later, but both of them to take advantage of Volt Absorb. Water obviously breaks the grounds that we don't necessarily love, and then Flying to take advantage of strong hurricanes, as well as Terra boosted Terra Blast with Terra Flying with this stab. So we have a strong, accurate move. We're not using Air Slash, we're not using Hurricane. We can use Terra Blast. Kilo is a Pokemon that I used to pretty good success in the past, in 2 seasons ago in BBR, I believe. Next to Chi-Empower and Goldango, this Pokemon was fantastic. It's very good at enabling other Pokemon while pressuring other Pokemon with how fast it is in an otherwise very slow dex, and I think that is exactly what Kilowattrel is going to do for us here. It's got that speed tier in between Dragapult and the next highest speed Pokemon that we will get here in a little bit. It's got U-turn for the grounds, we can Volt Switch on everything else. Realistically, Kilowattrel is just going to be here, the U-turn bot, but people forget as well, it has Tailwind and Wind Power, a very powerful combination. It can switch into those wind moves. You know what it does. It's a pretty strong Pokemon, and I'm very excited to have it on the team. Round 7 is where this started being one of the worst sniped drafts I've ever had. We had probably the most snipes I've ever had this draft. Genuinely, it was actually absurd. There were a couple different things I wanted. I was looking at different poisons. I thought we should get like at least a middling poison next to Dragapult. Unfortunately, the poisons on the board were very bad. So what I actually decided to go with was Weezing Gallop. and Weezingala went right before me, literally the pick before me. So we actually are going with a Pokemon that I do still think fits well. It covers that fairy role that Weezing would have given us. It also gives us another rocker, which I think I prefer more than the default that Weezing provided whenever we have Scizor. It's gonna be Tinkaton. Tinkaton, yeah, we're double type, we're double steel, double bug. Who cares, man? We're a little weak to fire. That's all right. Tinkaton gives us a rocker. It gives us another Pokemon that has access to Swords Dance and able to set up. And while, yeah, Tinkaton's not fast, it gives us the option to break fairies with it alongside the very, very powerful Gigaton Hammer. It also has very good utility. I already said it has rocks, but it has things like Knockoff and Thunder Wave as well. And it has decent enough coverage, I guess. It doesn't really have good coverage, I'll be honest. Most of the time, we're going to be running Dual Stab, Swords Dance, Knockoff, Thunder Wave. It has a couple of other moves that are nice, like Ice Hammer, but realistically, most matchups, it's going to not... it doesn't have good coverage. But it's a good Pokemon, and it'll help break fairies, and it has good split def, and that's what it's going to be here for, to soak things up, be a fast defensive Pokemon. 7 picks deep, and I love this team. I think this team is fantastic. With the next 3 picks, I was scrambling for what I would get with these last 3 Pokemon. I had so many roles I wanted to fill. I wanted a base 1 tin. I wanted a poison. I wanted another way to break fairies. I wanted spikes. I wanted another remover. Unfortunately, we don't fill all of those roles. It's just impossible. With what was left on the board, with all the snipes that happened, we were never filling every role that we wanted to. So instead, I took a different approach. And this isn't an approach that I normally take. I decided to counter the team. I decided to look at what top tier threats gave us trouble and pick some Pokemon to help us out. So this next pick is going to be Muckalola, who I thought was bad. But then I ran some calcs, and Muckalola is honestly a pretty good Pokemon. I won't lie, it's a good special wall, and it helps us specifically with Spectrier. I lost Spectrier otherwise, so we're getting Muckalola. It's cool. I don't know. It has Poison Touch, which is cool. You can get some cheeky poisons like you probably see behind me right now. It's a very powerful knockoff threat, and it has really good coverage moves like Ice Punch and Fire Punch, and it has access to Curse and Recycle, but Recycle kind of sucks now. Really, I'll be completely honest, it's here for the Spectrier matchup and like Gengar and other ghosts. Primarily Spectrier. I didn't want to lose to Spectrier, so it's here. Next up, shout out to Keegan. I lost to Palafin, so we took Slowbro because I didn't want to lose to Palafin. It was also, I needed a bulky water, so that's, it fits. I think I've drafted Slowbro damn near every draft this generation because nobody loves him. Why am I the only person in the world that loves Slowbro? I don't know. You know what he does? He has like Calm Mind and Future Sight. He got Scald back, which is pretty cool. Slack Off. It's a Slowbro, man. You know what it does. It's Palafin. It's Palafin time, baby. And then lastly, I promise I don't like this Pokemon. We took Bramblegast. I despise this Pokemon. But he does the work that I need efficiently and for cheap. He's 4 points. He has access to spikes and rapid spin. And that's what I needed. And honestly, like strength sap, subseed sets, it's like, you saw how I used him last season. I don't know why I use him well. I don't know why Bramblegast gives people a hard time, but I like using Bramblegast. He is still the ugliest Pokemon by far. Yeah, he's back. And that is going to be your Portland Nightshades for BBR Season 7. I said a lot of words this video, but here's what you should take out of this video. 1, I'm one of the best players on Wi-Fi. I'm going to show you why. 2, my team is broken. I like my team a lot. There are some glaring weaknesses, but it really doesn't matter. 3, we're winning the BBR Championship Season 7. Last season, I actually watched my BBR draft analysis back before recording this one, and I said that we were making it back to finals, and that we did. That's all we did. This season, we're winning. We're winning the championship. You can write it down. You can go ahead and place your bets right now. Okay, all cockiness aside, we have some really cool coaches this season. Check them all out down below. Shout out to Keegan for helping me get all of these clips for all of these mons. Hopefully, this is a high-quality video. I feel a little bit rushed for time as far as editing this video goes, but hopefully it turns out well. Let me know what you guys think of this team down below. It's not the best Dragapult team in the world, and I know that I lack a stronger poison, like not Muck, and a poison that resists fairy, but it's like I did the best that I could with how many snipes I had, and I think the team turned out really well, man. I think it's one of the better teams in the league for sure. Again, check out all the BBR coaches. We have some fantastic people this season, and thank you guys so much for watching. For now, guys, this has been John Jr. signing off.